Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1203, 12/13, August the 6th, 2020, Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, I wish I had more time. I could spend hours going over this fraud of a so-called hearing yesterday with silly Sally Yates. Total fraud. Lindsey Graham, you're a fraud. Your hearings are a fraud. Lindsey Graham has subpoena power. He should have subpoenaed Sally Yates to be there, not from her home, giving us garbled speech, probably with 2 or 3 lawyers in the room with her. And she lied throughout the entire hearing, and every single time they had a chance to catch her in a lie, they move on and ask another question. They never ask the right questions, do they? Why do you think that is? Because it's a fraud. I certainly hope that Mr. Durham and his investigators are a hell of a lot better lawyers than what we saw yesterday from these Senate Republicans who are supposedly lawyers. They never ask the right questions, and they get 5 minutes? You can't unravel something this complex in 5 minutes. But if you only got 5 minutes, you ask the questions that go directly to where the meat wraps around the bone. You not play around with these silly questions that may in 15 or 20 years lead you down the road to an actual question. You don't have time for setup questions. You have to go right for the kill shot. Just 24 hours earlier, Sidney Powell was on Lou Dobbs. And she said, I have a lot of questions. Here's some right off the top of my head. And she asked, boom, 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 boom. 4 or 5 questions told Lou Dobbs right off the top of her head. And these were great questions. Any one of them questions had Sally Yates truthfully answered, they would have marched her out of there in handcuffs. That's because Sidney Powell's a real lawyer. She doesn't do fraud. That's what they do on Lindsey Graham's committee. These are show hearings for political gain for the election. They have no interest whatsoever. Lindsey Graham, I don't think you did anything wrong. Same thing they did to Rodenstein. I don't think you did anything wrong. The 25th Amendment, wearing a wire, all the other things. No. I don't think you did anything wrong. Same thing with Silly Sally. I don't think you did anything wrong. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Bullshit. It's a fraud. You're watching a fraud. And I had to watch it too. So a lot of people are saying, what came out of the hearings? Silly Sally threw Comey under the bus. I didn't need to wait 2.5 years to find that out. I said that was going to happen 2 years ago. The FBI is going to point the finger at the DOJ, and the DOJ is going to point the finger at the FBI. Of course that's what they're going to do. She acts as if she was somehow outside the circle. She was in the circle. She was in the inner circle. She's up to her eyeballs in this. She lied throughout her freaking hearings. And they let her go. Another 1 or 2 follow-up questions to quite a few of her answers would have revealed her lying. But they move on. Because they're not interested in getting to the bottom of anything. I can only hope that Barr and Durham are not going to play the same game. I will be pissed if that happens. She, of course, verified that Biden was in the January 5th, 2017 meeting. That's another thing. She verified Biden was in the meeting. Whoop-de-doo! Does anyone doubt that? I think it's been pretty well proven Biden was in the January 5th meeting. She said she couldn't remember who it was or if it was Biden who brought up the Logan Act. It was almost like watching a repeat of Rodenstein. I don't know nothing about nothing. I don't know nothing. They did it. Had I known, I never would have signed off on that. They did it. I was just too busy. Here we have both Rodenstein. She did the same thing Rodenstein did. Remember when Rodenstein, I'm busy. I got to run the entire Department of Justice. I got 13,000 people. I got this going on. I got that going on. I don't have time to read all this stuff. I got all that. I'm in charge of this whole damn thing. And then Silly Sally says, hey, I'm in charge of the whole damn thing. I got all these people under me. Same thing Rodenstein said. Bullshit. She says that the meeting on January 5th was not to investigate Flynn. Lie. Bullshit. That's exactly what that meeting was about. Remember Obama? Put the right guys on it? Says she doesn't remember the details of the January 5th meeting. Apparently she didn't read Susan Rice's Cover Your Ass letter. And apparently she didn't read Peter Spin-Strokenus's notes. And of course she said the same thing Rodenstein said. Well, I wouldn't have signed the FISA application knowing what I know today. Yeah, well, guess what? You did. You did sign it. It's a legal affidavit under sworn testimony that the facts are correct. Your signature. It doesn't say, I swear, Sally Yates swear, that the facts are correct based on what other people have told me. It's not what it says. The whole idea of that is to make sure there is someone accountable at a very high level who can be held accountable if it is fraudulent. And it was. She signed off on 2 of the Carter Page FISA warrants. She admits that the FBI misled the FISA court. The FBI did it. She still sticks to the fact that Flynn told 2 lies. Still sticks to the fact that Flynn should have been investigated and should have been charged and should be going through all he's going through now. She's staying right on it. Not moving off that position at all, and no one pressed her on it. They just moved right along. She says that Flynn tried to neuter Obama administration on sanctions. He did not. It's right there in the damn transcript. It's been released. He told them not to overreact. I think the exact word he used was he advised them not to escalate. Not to escalate. And she's still saying that Papadopoulos was a Russian intel asset. And they let her get away with that too. He was a Russian intel asset? No, he wasn't. It's been proven. And they let her get away with it. She never could explain a legitimate reason to investigate Flynn. She just blamed the FBI. Even the FBI says he did not lie. But she's still sitting there saying, well, she thinks he did. The Department of Justice has dropped the damn case. Has proven that they set him up. And she's still sticking to the guns. Why? She has no choice. That's what her lawyers told her. She admitted Comey went rogue. Yeah. By sending FBI agents to interview Flynn without counsel. She said she was upset by that breach of protocol. By the breach of protocol. They breached every fucking protocol on the planet. And they're still doing it. It was McCabe, who she said was working with the setup. It was McCabe, who she was working with, who set up the meeting that she says she's so upset about. It was McCabe who called Flynn and said, oh, by the way, you don't need a lawyer either. That's who she was working with. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Do you think that McCabe's going to cover Silly Sally's ass? Remember, what you heard today was Silly Sally's lies. Believe me, Comey, McCabe, all these people, Stu, what's his name? They're all going to be questioned. Something tells me there's going to be a lot of people contradicting Silly Sally. Do you think McCabe will cover Silly Sally's ass? I'm betting he won't. Yates could not provide any evidence that Flynn committed a crime. She said the investigation was necessary because concerns that Flynn would reverse Obama's foreign policy. Well, as the national security advisor, incoming national security advisor, once Trump's sworn into office, he can overturn any damn policy he wants. The president can, along with his national security advisor, make those decisions. They can overturn any of Obama's policies once they've been sworn in. But while he was in the interim period, he wasn't doing any of that. All he suggested is that they not overreact. And the big whopper is when she said that the Obama administration was not investigating the Trump campaign. Oh, we weren't investigating the Trump campaign. It was Carter Page. And he was no longer with the Trump campaign. And they just let her get away with it. Just let her get away with it. They're investigating Manafort, Carter Page, Papadopoulos. They tried to get Josh Miller. They're throwing spies. They're throwing confidential informants. They're throwing national security letters, FISA warrants, everything under the damn sun. Trump was the target, not Carter Page. They could give a flying shit about Carter Page. Trump was the target. And when you get the FISA on Carter Page, you get all his communications. Going all the way back as far as you want. And you get to get two hops. A FISA warrant on Carter Page gave them a window into the Trump campaign going all the way back as far as they wanted to go. Didn't matter if he was no longer on the campaign. The FISA lets them see his communications and anything else at any time. And everyone he talked to. And everyone he talked to. That gives them a full window into the Trump campaign. As far back as they want to go. And they let her off the hook. Think that's an accident? We're being played. God, I hope Barr and Durham are not going to play us like this. Do you think that Comey and McCabe and all the rest are just going to sit by and take the fall to cover Silly Sally's ass? I don't think so. Comey was watching them hearings today. Better believe it. Right on the edge of his seat for the whole thing, I guarantee it. Along with McCabe and Strzok and all the rest. They were all watching. You better believe that. Do you think Comey is going to just sit there and take it? You think McCabe's going to sit there and take all that? No. They're not going to let Silly Sally slide. They're going to take everyone down with him. They're going to take everyone down with them, including Silly Sally. She's right in the middle of it. Then we get Senator Kennedy, probably the only one that even had a little fun with it. I mean, if you're going to put on a show, you might as well at least always give us a few chuckles. A few shits and giggles. At least Senator Kennedy got a little bit of that going on. Until Graham shut him down. Yeah, Graham didn't like that. Picking on Silly Sally. I think Graham likes Silly Sally. She would not say, when being questioned by Senator Kennedy, that Trump didn't collude with the Russians. She would never admit that. She would only say that Mueller found no evidence. Kennedy said, yeah, but you despise Trump, right? She goes, no, I didn't despise Trump. I don't despise anybody. I'm a liberal. I love everybody. Right. Of course they despise Trump. He suggested people working around her, with her at the DOJ, certainly despised Trump. And at the FBI. And she said, well, I wouldn't say that. No, I don't think anybody working around me at the DOJ despised Trump. No. She said that Silly Sally said she would be shocked to find anyone at the DOJ did anything to keep Trump from becoming president. She would be shocked to find anyone in the DOJ did anything to keep Trump from becoming president. What a liar. She said the dossier was not important to the investigation into Trump and Russia. Oh, and Senator Kennedy called the dossier junk. And Sally said, well, I wouldn't really say junk. I mean, there was some things. Kennedy asked her if she checked it out. She said it was up to the FBI. That's why they have a Woods file. The FBI did it. They're supposed to check it out. I just sign off on it and swear under God that it's correct. And count on the FBI to cover my ass. Despite the fact that Comey had proven time and time again that he was a corrupt player. Yet she trusted him. Right. Said she didn't fact check it. But she signed off on two Carter Page FISAs anyway. She's, of course, sticking to the narrative that she really believed Flynn was compromised by Russia. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. She really believed that a 30-year military veteran, 3-star general, incoming national security advisor, the whole 9 yards, really believed that he was colluding with the Russians. To do what? So when Strzok and Pienka were questioned, and in fact we now have some of those notes, they actually say, and they wrote it down, that they didn't think Flynn was lying. I guess she forgot to read those notes. I guess she wasn't advised about that. Never briefed. Here's a question. If she really believed that Flynn was being compromised by the Russians, and the investigation was not into Trump, then why didn't she brief Trump? Why didn't she say, Mr. Incoming President, we think that your national security advisor might be compromised by the Russians? That's what she would have done if she was telling the truth, that Trump wasn't the target of the investigation. They would have told him. They would have said, hey, you're national security advisor. We think he might be compromised by the Russians. Yeah. But she never did she? You see, her actions tell you why we know she's lying. If she were telling the truth, that they were just looking at Flynn because they thought he was, doing something he shouldn't be doing with the Russians, they would have told Trump. They would have told him. And if she's not part of the coup plot, then why hasn't she come forward to denounce all that was done by the rogue FBI agents? We have known for a very long time now that this entire thing was a sham, that the dossier was a farce. On January 4th, the FBI that was investigating Flynn cleared him, and all these other things. And a lot of water's gone under the bridge since we found out the truth about what happened in 2016 and 2017. It's been a long time ago. It's now 2020. Well into 2020. Beyond the halfway point. We're more marching towards 2021. This shit happened three and a half years ago. We've known that this whole thing was a fraud now for at least 2 years. If she's really legit, and everything she said in that hearing is true, then why, when she learned that the dossier was a fraud, that the FBI was corrupt and effed everything up, lied to the FISA court, did all this stuff, and destroyed this man's life, why didn't she step up at some point when she found out here a year and a half, 2 years ago, and say, man, oh man, what did I do? I signed off on 2 FISA warrants on an innocent man who was actually an asset for the CIA, who'd been working with the FBI to take down Russian mobsters, and the FBI lied to me and got me to sign these FISA warrants and get this innocent man. That is horrible. I can't believe I did that. Oh, I feel so terrible. I should make a public apology to Carter Page for what has happened to him. And Michael Flynn, my God, a 30-year veteran, military veteran, a really good man, bankrupted him, destroyed his life, and put him through 3 years of hell that continues to this day. And all done based on the fact that I was lied to by the FBI. Man, oh man, I feel so terrible. I can't believe I got caught up in this damn thing. Shit. Man, I feel terrible. I've got to reach out to Michael Flynn and his family and let them know how sorry I am that I was duped by the FBI and how bad I feel. If there's anything that I can do to help support them. Can I make a donation? Can I make a public statement? She did nothing! Nothing! She's known that this was bullshit now for 2 years. If she was really clean, like any other person who had gotten so-called caught up and duped by the FBI in this, they would be like what I just told you. You would say, man, oh man, I can't believe that I got duped by these idiots over at the FBI. I've literally destroyed these two men's lives on a fraud that I got caught up in. First of all, you'd be very, very pissed at Comey and the FBI for the lies they told you and sucking you into this thing. And you would feel great remorse for the people who were harmed by it. And you would do something to make some sort of amends. She's done nothing. Nothing. She's not sorry about it at all. She was part of the whole damn thing. A person who wasn't would realize exactly how much damage that they did. And if they were duped by someone into doing it, they would be out there calling those people out for duping her. She would have gone into the Attorney General herself and said, man, let me give you the evidence of what happened to me. They lied to me, and look what happened to those two men. She would be fully cooperating with Barr. She would have been the first one knocking on his fucking door to tell him the truth. But she really felt like she got duped, wouldn't you? If you got duped like that, you're at work and somebody gives you some false information that causes you to go fire 2 employees and you find out later they lied to you, what would you do? Nothing? Go on CNN and MSNBC and continue the coup narrative? Because that's what she's been doing. Not a bit of fucking remorse in her at all. Profanity alert! Profanity alert! No remorse for what she did to General Flynn and Carter Page. None. Lindsey Graham's an idiot. If you really want to get to the bottom of things, you start at the bottom and you work your way to the top. But what's Lindsey Graham doing? He's starting at the very top. Rodenstein, then Yates. Why would he do that? To give them cover. What he should have done is brought in Soma and Alton first. Question them first. Then McCabe. Then her. Then Rodenstein. And I'd have brought in Gauhar and Moyer before I brought in her and Rodenstein as well. That's why you start at the bottom and work the way to the top. Because the top people always say no to the people below me. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. Any lawyer knows that. And Graham's a lawyer. And I understand he's a pretty good one. Too good to make that kind of mistake. This guy's a fraud. And this thing's a show. Yates said that she could not remember any briefing regarding Crossfire Hurricane until after she had already left the Department of Justice after she was fired. But that's funny because she told Cory Booker about 15 minutes later that she discussed Manafort with the FBI. Manafort was part of the Crossfire Hurricane. So she lied right there and got caught. No one called her on it, though, because that's not what they're doing there. They're playing a game with us. said they weren't sure if the Right Reverend Clinton paid for the dossier. At the time when all this is going on that she's talking about, this particular question, January 2017 is the time frame that they're discussing. She says at that time they didn't know if in fact Hillary Rodham Clinton paid for the dossier. Well, who the hell do you think paid for the opposition research against the Trump campaign? Who else is running against Trump? Sally? Only one person was running against Trump in 2016. That was Hillary. So who the hell do you think was paying for the fucking opposition research, Sally? Let's not forget, Christopher Steele, as we just learned from his deposition in the most recent lawsuit, said the very first time he met with the FBI in July of 2016, he told them who he was working for. Her deputy assistant, Bruce Orr, the guy right underneath her, is talking to Steele, meeting with Steele, feeding Steele's information right under her nose. And she doesn't know anything about it. Didn't know anything about it. Boy, she was running a tight ship over there, huh? Unfortunately, no one asked her when she found out that Carter Page was a CIA asset. Nobody asked her that. Or if she knew that when she signed off on the 2 FISAs. Certainly the second one. We're into January 2017 by the second one, or February, I think. She still didn't know? I don't think so. Well, we know that Stu Evans briefed Silly Sally on the Page FISAs. And we know that he was the one, Stu Evans, who had a lot of problems with it. They had to twist his arm pretty hard to get him to go along with it. And he briefed Silly Sally on it. Do you think that after all that Stu Evans, while he's briefing Silly Sally, didn't mention his concerns? I can't wait for Durham to interview Stu Evans about the conversations he had with Silly Sally. Something tells me that Stu is going to have something else to say. Yeah, she signed that FISA renewal on January 12th. By which time they knew everything. Here's another question. Tash Gowhar was running the damn show. A good friend of hers. Did Tash Gowhar brief Silly Sally on Crossfire Hurricane? Hard to imagine she wouldn't. Was there ever any conversation about Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Paul Manafort, or Michael Flynn between her and Gowhar? If so, when? Someone should have asked her that. They didn't. They did ask her about Bruce Orr. She didn't know anything. She didn't know that her own deputy, what he was doing. How could you not know? No one asked her about Mr. Sussman and the evidence he provided directly to the FBI and to Christopher Steele that turned out to be fraud. Hillary's lawyer. No one asked her about that, did they? There's a lot of things they didn't ask her. 5 minutes. That's the big hearings. That's the big hearings. Each guy gets to ask 5 minutes worth of questions. Well, look, any freaking lawyer, or even non-lawyer for that matter, can slip and slide for 5 minutes and not directly answer any questions. But if you only got 5 minutes, that means you don't have time to play around. You have to ask, real questions. The type of questions that, get right to the meat of the bone. Or at least ways, if you're going to try to walk down the trail and drop the breadcrumbs, you at least ways coordinate with your buddies to make sure that you stay on the same thing and walk down that trail one to the next to get there. At least you get one thing right. All the missed opportunities. These are not real hearings. This is bullshit. We can only hope that Barr and Durham are not playing the same game. That's all we can hope for. Because if what we get from Barr and Durham looks anything like we're getting out of Lindsey Graham's phony hearings with these half-wits. No wonder they're in Congress. They're suck-ass lawyers. Couldn't make a living as a lawyer being that bad at what you do. All these guys. Ain't worth a damn. Sidney Powell alone. You could have just taken every damn one of those Republicans and told them to stay home. And just let Sidney Powell sit there and ask each of their questions. And Sally would have been marched out in handcuffs. That's the difference between a real lawyer and a bunch of hacks. Absolutely disturbing, man, to watch. To have to sit there and know as she's giving us the lies. And they just, when someone lies to you, you don't move on. When you ask a question and they lie to you, you do not move on. And they let her sit there and filibuster. And run her answers. And run her little mouth. I would have given her the damn William Barr treatment. What I would have done. I would have went out there and I would have asked her any damn questions. Knowing she's going to lie to me anyway. I would have walked out and said, okay, well, I got 5 minutes. I'm not going to ask any questions because all you're going to do is lie to me anyway, like you've done all the rest of these people. So let me go ahead and tell everyone what you did as part of the coup plotters. And then I would ask her, and if she started to butt in, I'd say, reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time. Shut up. I'm reclaiming my time. This is my time. Shut up. Give me my time back. Give me my 10 seconds back. Reclaiming my time. Shut up, silly. And I'd have gone on. That's another option that they had. At least we'd have got some damn truth. What we got was a show. That's what they do over there. In the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senate Judiciary Committee. Take your pick. The only committee that's worth a damn in that whole U.S. Congress is probably the committee, Jordan's on too. The Oversight Committee and and even the House Intelligence Committee. Other than Nunes, there's nobody really worth a damn there. It's a joke. We can only hope that Barr and Durham are not jokes. Trump seems to indicate that in an interview with Lou Dobbs that he's obviously been briefed because he told Lou Dobbs, hey man, it's even way worse than we thought. It's breathtaking. We caught him. We caught him. Clearly Trump's been briefed by Barr. And it looks like Durham may actually be doing something. And Barr may actually follow through and indict the criminals. It was also widely reported yesterday that John Durham has asked the CIA, and I'm not sure why he would have to ask the CIA, but he has asked and is currently to interview John Brennan. John Brennan has agreed, and they are currently in negotiations for Durham to interview John Brennan. That is the latest news. As far as we know, they have not interviewed Comey or McCabe. And Clapper says that he was told that he was not going to be interviewed. How do you not interview Clapper? He was an integral part of the setup to release the dossier. He's the one that leaked the shit to CNN. The news story, the news hook. That was Clapper. How do you not interview Clapper? How do you not have any interest in Clapper? He was the OD&I. Up to his eyeballs in it. Huge liar. Coup plotter. I don't know, folks. We'll keep watching. That's all we can do, right? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. Bye.